coming to life.
He still takes the field? Yep. Love it. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so gotta be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkers. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud. Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.
And welcome back to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark. I appreciate you tuning in on a Saturday night of NBA Finals, World Cup, and all the other things that are going on a almost summer Saturday night. We're getting ready to go to Pocono, the Tricky Triangle. Can Denny Hamlin and the Minions now make it 3 in a row? Man, Denny is on a hot streak right now. Good. I tell you what, for an old man, he sure is doing well. That's all I can say. And I'm not sure there's any stopping him because we're going to Denny Hamlin's best track on the circuit. He has got to be hands down probably the favorite going in. And he backed it up with not the fastest practice, but overall had good speed in practice and came out and took the top spot again in qualifying. The question is, will he actually get to start from the front row, and will he keep it this week? I think he will. I think he's already burned those bridges. Now the question is, will Denny Hamlin know what to do, not having to come through the field this week? I think he's going to be perfectly fine. Like I said, this is his best track, and he typically backs it up. 7 victories, should be 8 because in 2022, he and Rowdy Kyle Busch both had a small little piece of tape on the front left corner or right corner. I can't remember which one it was, but it was about the thickness of like 2 pieces of Scotch tape. And NASCAR was like, "Yep, that's illegal. So you have to forfeit your win and have to give up the trophy," which he did. He wasn't happy about it, but he still, even with 7 wins, is the absolute king of the Tricky Triangle. But either way, we'll see if he can make it 3 in a row. Can another Toyota possibly dethrone him? Can Christopher Bell, who took a shot at 63 Gs into the wall off of Chase Elliott last weekend. God, that was such a scary wreck. I've never seen a safer barrier quite give as much as that one did. It was close at Daytona with Ryan Blaney, I think 2 years ago, where it just absolutely caved in on him, or caved the wall in. But I'm so thankful that they build these cars as well as they do, and those safer barriers are out there. Andrew, what's up, buddy? I think we will see lots of spins. Seems like same spot everyone spins. Yeah, I mean turn 3/4. Definitely, it's extremely flat. A lot of we'll see some spins. We'll see some close calls. We'll see some bouncing off of each other, especially on restarts coming down the front stretch. We saw a ton of that today in the O'Reilly race. So, yeah, I mean, I think we'll see some spins. I don't think it's going to be as much as we think it's going to be. But, yeah, we'll see some spins. I mean, the question is, will Ricky Spinhouse make it 2 for 2? He spun during practice. Can he spin during the race? Maybe, maybe not. But he does have the name for a reason. I mean, we don't have the king of spins anymore with Kyle Busch. He always loved to spin out this next gen car, but won't see that happening again. That's a shame. But yeah, I think we'll see some. we'll see a lot of people either spin or get loose, not be able to catch it, and potentially hit the wall. And the question is, will there be anybody to the inside of them when they come back off the wall? That'll be the other issue, and then you'll see some more spins. But I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as you might think. But we'll have to wait and see. If everyone has not seen, they are starting the race at 1 o'clock tomorrow instead of 3 o'clock. So 2 hours earlier. They are trying to beat the weather that's supposed to be coming in mid to late afternoon. Glad they made the change. Glad that we have Prime, because Prime doesn't have to follow a certain schedule. They can kind of start whenever and finish whenever. That's why we have such great post-race coverage from Prime, is because they don't have a hard stop time. They don't have a news broadcast they have to get to. It's literally, they have a NASCAR channel, and it's wide open for as long or short as they want. Family Man, what's up, buddy? Just dropping to hit the like button. Hey, congratulations on your daughter-in-law getting married, or no, your stepdaughter getting married today. So congratulations to her and the family, and safe travels back home. Glad that's over for you. I'd hate to see what your wallet looks like, because I know weddings definitely cost a little bit of money. But yeah, congratulations on that. And I'm sure if you can't watch the whole thing, you pick it up when you get back home, and shoot me a text tomorrow. We'll talk about it. All right, last weekend, let's talk about it. Denny Hamlin ties Kyle Busch for 63 career wins and celebrated it in just absolute class style. What a cool flag that he had made for the occasion. Super emotional moment for Denny Hamlin. Of course, going from the pole to the rear of the field to winning the race, and not just winning the race, but 11.11 seconds in the 11 car to tie Kyle Busch for the record. Can he actually go into, what is it, 9th place all by himself? Or would it be 8th place? I can't remember. But either way, currently he's tied with Kyle Busch at 63. And, all records are out there to be broken. So congratulations to Denny on that, on the win, on just an absolute tremendous run that he is on right now for an old man like him, 45 years old. So, but either way, Eric Jones, how about Eric Jones coming through again? Next to Denny Hamlin, I think Eric Jones has the best overall finish over the last 5 races. He and Legacy have definitely found something with that Toyota car and are doing extremely well. And they backed it up again with a pretty good practice and qualifying today. All right, well, if you're new here, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate it. We've had really, really good numbers in growth so far. Lots of good viewership, but not a whole lot of people subscribing. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you get the opportunity. We do this most Saturday nights at about 9 o'clock. Sometimes schedules kind of get in the way a little bit, and might have to do it on Sunday mornings or whatever. I know that I've got some scheduling stuff coming up that will make it a little bit trickier towards the late of July. We've got a baseball tournament for my son in Florida, and I know that I've got flights on Sunday going down, but also Saturday or Sunday coming back. So it gets a little bit tricky with timing, and I also won't be in my home office. So I'll have to figure out a way for the AI to make all of this fun graphical information. I'm sure it's possible. I just got to figure it out, which I will. But I appreciate everyone tuning in over the last couple weeks. Really had some really good viewership numbers, so I appreciate that. Not that I really do this for viewership numbers or whatever. It actually gives me an opportunity to, number one, I've learned how to do things with AI that I never thought I was going to be able to do, which has been really cool, but also gives me a chance to really kind of collect my thoughts about practice, qualifying, setups, what may or may not need to happen. Why is Discord going off like crazy? I just keep hearing it in the background. I think it's actually on my other computer. Hold on. Yep. All right. For some reason, I had the volume up and I was getting messages on Discord. So turning that off. All good to go now. Sorry about that. All right. So last week at Michigan, we saw Denny Hamlin start from first, go to the back, and go back to first. And I thought there was no way that he was going to be able to have enough laps led or fast laps. And I don't know why my AI cut off the last laps. Oh, well, I'm not going to try to screw with it. But he ended up leading, I want to look it up now, 36 or 38 laps. And I thought there was just almost no way that that was actually going to happen. Cup races, Michigan. Maybe. Denny Hamlin led 40 laps. And I was like, out of 200 laps, and he's starting from the rear, there's going to be no way that he actually makes up enough ground to actually lead any laps. And starting in first, I was like, he's starting from the rear. It's almost a negative place differential for the entire race. Well, Denny Hamlin absolutely just proved me wrong. So there is that. But Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano with a good solid finish for Joey Logano. Bubba Wallace actually making a nice little rebound this week, which he definitely needed. But I'll tell you what, a lot of guys in the top 16 in points had rough days. But Eric Jones getting that second place finish, really big on him. Josh Berry, who is not going to be with the Wood Brothers next year, uncertain where he will go or who will be in that 21 car next year. So there is one seat that is vacant. Does somebody like Tyler Reddick, or Herbst end up going in there, or do they go and get another kid out of the O'Reilly series to come up and race, or maybe even the Truck series? Joe Ann, how you doing? Hey, I don't need a bag anymore. A small purse would be nice, though. Yes, small wins are always nice. The bigger the purse or bag, always the better. But if you can just at least get to break even or profitable, it's always a good day in fantasy racing. So thanks for tuning in, Joanne. Hopefully you're starting to figure out the whole DFS NASCAR world. I know it definitely makes watching the race at least a little bit more interesting. So, but I appreciate you tuning in. And did you ever get Discord figured out? I know that you were having a little bit of trouble doing that. So, all right. Our optimal lineup challenge: Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin now sit up top with 7. Next closest: Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace with 5. And can SVG hold on to a top 16 spot before we get to those 2 road courses where he should be favored and is favored for the 2 road courses coming up? And if that's the case, he should be able to get himself far enough into the top 16 to make the playoffs, or the chase, as they call it. Other drivers that were not in the optimal: Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Carson Hocevar, Ross Chastain, and boy, everybody is mad at Carson Hocevar right now. Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, JJ Yaley, with a nice 21st place finish, and Cole Custer with a 12th place finish. Cole Custer quietly has put together, I think, the last 3 or 4 races Cole Custer has finished in the top 20. Let's see, he finished 12th at Michigan. Cole Custer finished actually 21st at Nashville. Charlotte, where did Cole finish? 16th. Dover, even though it was the All-Star race, got a little wonky, so hard to tell. Don't see him there. Watkins Glen. So the last 3 or 4 races, he's actually finished pretty well. Where's Carson? Where's Cole Custer at Watkins Glen? Finished 15th. So Cole Custer quietly has been having a nice little turn and momentum. And remember that Haas factory, whatever it is, used to be a Ford. And when they went to this one-car team, they moved from Ford to Chevy very quietly. It was not a real big to do because it was a one-car team. Well, they are partnered with Hendrick Motorsports, so they are getting a lot of technical data, a lot of sim time data, and those types of things from Hendrick Motorsports. So things seem to be at least headed in the right direction for a single car team moving forward. All right, so that was last week's race in Michigan. We are headed to the Tricky Triangle, Pocono Raceway, up in the upper eastern north part of Pennsylvania, up in the Pocono Mountains. It is a tricky triangle, as they say it. They say it's only 3 corners, but you could almost call 3 and 4. You could call 3 almost 2 corners. It's just a really nice long corner. Very flat through that part of the racetrack. Headed to the long straightaway for the front stretch, which is the longest straightaway in NASCAR. So speeds will really build, and having to get down to a slower speed by the time you get to turn 1 always makes things a little interesting. That's kind of what Andrew was talking about, is these corners make it a little bit tight, and you're carrying a lot of speed, and you need a lot of speed to come off the corner. And when you do that, you get on the throttle a little too fast or a little too early, and it'll kick the rear end out, and around you go. But either way, this is 400 miles. It's only 160 laps. So, once again, not a huge opportunity for a lot of Dominator points. In fact, there's only 112 total Dominator points, with 40 points coming from laps led and 72 coming from fast laps. This is much more of a start well, finish well, or start towards the rear and place differential. Not a ton of Dominator style points. Not that they're not potentially able to get. We don't have, the fast laps aren't spread completely out across the field like you would find at Atlanta or Daytona or Talladega, which are 200 laps or less. But since we don't have a whole lot of Dominator points, it's much more finishing position and place differential with a little bit of Dominator points wrapped in. If Denny Hamlin starting from the pole goes out and leads 50, 60 laps, absolutely those Dominator points are going to help, even if he happens to slip to third. But, when we get to all that, I do have the handy dandy calculator. I don't know if anybody's had their opportunities to use this, play with it, do those types of things. It is still there. So feel free to use it. Once again, I'll go through that as we get to it. But that is out there. It's at racinginthedraft.com. Go to DK Calculator in the upper right-hand side, and it's already set and ready to go for this weekend with starting spots, average finishes, and those types of things. So have at it. Have fun. Just remember, don't go away from that page or close that page until you have downloaded the CSV file, because if you go away, it starts all over and all your hard work is gone. I'm working on a couple other additions to that. Those additions, because they're taking me a long time and a lot of AI token usage, that may be a sample for a first week to kind of work out some bugs. But if all of that works out, that will probably end up having to go behind a paywall, because there are a lot of places that are charging upwards of $100 a month for what I'm going to end up building out. So I'm not going to charge that by any means. I'm not looking to get rich. I'm looking to help just cover some cost. So Joanne says, still can't get a new password, so I can't verify profile to be able to chat on Discord. Have you tried using a new email address and new username and all of that to see if you can log in that way? So if you've got a different email address, if not, just go to Google and create a new email address, and see if you can log in a different way. That might be the trick, because everything on my end is working, and I can't really seem to get. I don't know how to really help you with Discord. I use it a fair amount, but when it comes to like administrative password type stuff, yeah, you got me beat there. So, yeah, I would try just getting a new email address. Maybe if it takes a phone number, I can't remember. It's been so long since I set one up. Maybe try to set it up all that way. I would just try setting up with a new username and new email address. But the tracks we can compare to, realistically, there's only one other track that compares to Pocono. It's Indy. Both are flat. Both are 2.5 miles in length. Not much banking. Pocono's a little different because, like I said, there's 3-ish corners. So that makes it a little bit different. You can also, the AI put Michigan and Charlotte in here, and they just don't really fit. Pocono's much flatter than either one of those. And yeah, you can have a lot of big speed coming down the front stretch of Pocono. The corner just doesn't match up. So I don't really like where the AI went with these being similar. It's really not. Indy's the only one that's really even close. You can potentially look at what they've done in Loudon, because it is a 1 mile, super flat, long corners. But even that really doesn't match up. So really, Pocono and Indy are really the only two that kind of make sense when it comes to that. All right. Either way, our optimal lineups from previous Pocono raceways. We don't see a whole lot of points. 72 points for 74.65 was the highest point getter at the Pocono race last year. That came from Chase Briscoe, who started 6th, finished 1st. And like I said, dominator points can matter, but you can also see, it doesn't. We had a 12th to 3rd. I mean, that's the other thing to look at. Oh, so starting spots from 12th, 35th to 12th, Josh Berry got 55 points. Only 20 points away from Chase Briscoe, who had 72 laps led. We had 1 dominator, which was Chase Briscoe, 4 place differentials, 3 value picks, so 3 drivers under 7,500, 3 drivers that finished in the top 5, and $400 left over. Ryan Blaney was most expensive at 60 points. So the point threshold, I'm still going to hold, at least for $9,000 drivers and above, is still going to be about that 60-point threshold. Not that they can't make the optimal lineup slightly under it, because as you can see, Ryan Blaney did it with 59. Ryan Blaney did it with 72, but Brett Keselowski did it with 58. So there's not a ton of points, and that's why it's either finishing position or place differential are the 2 biggest keys. Chase Briscoe definitely knocked that out of the park last year with 72 laps led, but Ryan Blaney with 44 laps led finished 1st and had 72.9 points. So points are very close, and the lineup build is going to have to be kind of unique. And there's plenty of uniqueness out there. I mean, Austin Cindric starting in 19th and finishing 10th because he was 7,200 at 43 points made the optimal lineup. Same type of thing could happen this week with Cole Custer starting in the teens. If he goes and gets a top 10 because of his price range, it allows for more expensive drivers to be in that lineup, which, if they start and finish well, could still be the key to winning that. And then if we look at 2023 and 2022, yeah, I mean, see, even here, DraftKings still paid out first and second to Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. They did not go back after the fact, after they got disqualified, and change that, which probably would have thrown Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch out. But I looked at it and I kept those two there because, number one, DraftKings paid it out that way. And number two, I'm not sure that tape actually made that big of a difference. Illegal is illegal, and I get and understand the reason why NASCAR did it, and I'm fine with that. But as far as DraftKings is concerned, I still kept Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch in that first and second spot because that's what paid the points. In all honesty, and that's what we're here for. After the fact, if I get paid because Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch finished first and second, and I had them in my lineup, I'm going to cash that check all day long. And if they go, whoops, they got disqualified, well, too bad, too sad. You already paid me out. 2023, Chase Elliott, 60 points. He started 35th, came in 10th. He didn't have any laps led, no fast laps. Kyle Busch did have 63 laps led and only got to 71 points. So literally, if you can get to 60 points with any of the drivers, that's a phenomenal day and should make the optimal or be right at the optimal. All right. Is this? Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I threw this in here. What is this? Chris Busch or Kyle Larson? I don't know why it was first. Either way. All right, let's head to our driver breakdown and kind of go through that. If you are new here, we'll go through this entire page more in depth, and then from here on out afterwards, we'll kind of glance over or talk about just some high points of it. Denny Hamlin's $11,000 in DraftKings this week. He is starting from the pole. In practice, he was second fastest in speed. He was 14th on the 5-lap average. And yes, 5-lap average, because only like 14 of the 38 drivers went to 10 laps, where 37 of 38 drivers or 36 of 38 drivers did 5-lap averages. So because of the length of the track, they just don't accumulate a ton of laps. Like I said, Denny Hamlin had 22 total laps. So we're just looking at the 5-lap averages. Now, when we get to the graph will have all of their lap times that were at speed. Then we look here. This is the 5 tracks we're comparing to, which is Pocono from last year, Pocono from 2024, 2023, Indy race from last year, 2025, and the Loudon race of last year, 2025. Out of those 5 races, Denny Hamlin has 1 win, 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a DraftKings average of 57.7, which, like I said, would almost put him in the optimal lineups for almost every one of those races. He has an average running position for those 5 races of 4.0. Last year at Pocono, Denny finished second. His full race history at Pocono, he has 35 total starts, 7 wins, 17 top 5s, 24 top 10s, 29 of 35. He's finished in the top 20. Pretty phenomenal average. 7.7 over 35 races at Pocono. He's really good here. Andrew says, one time I lost a GPP on a late bell penalty for advancing below the line. Not sure the difference. So that was probably an in-race infraction, not a post-race infraction. Yeah, so Bell being penalized, advancing below the line, that had to have been a Talladega or Daytona. Those are only ones with 2 on the out of bounds side. And yeah, that would have been an in race, not what was finalized or the unofficial results. Because like Denny Hamlin did the celebration, did burnout, had the checkered flag, had the trophy, had already done all of the pictures, and was pretty much loading everything up in the hauler when NASCAR came out and says, yeah, you and Kyle Busch both got disqualified. We'll take the trophy away from you. In fact, I think the trophy actually was already on the way back to Charlotte. And he had to go and get it and take it to Chase Elliott once they all got back to Charlotte. So that was really, really late. But I think, Andrew, what you were talking about was a Daytona or Talladega where he went below the yellow line. I think I remember that vaguely, but that was an in-race infraction. So this is the full racing reference for Denny Hamlin. Kind of gives you an idea of where and what he does at Pocono, which is he just kicks butt the entire time. Like I said, this is Denny Hamlin's absolute best track on the circuit. All right, if we look at practice speeds, Denny Hamlin is in the red. The average line up here is in the white. And they're averaging right at 54. Then they jump up to almost 54 and a half seconds within about 15 to 17 laps. Only a half a second fall off over the course of the run on average. Denny Hamlin's fire-off speed, his fastest lap was just under 53 seconds, and by the time he finished out his run, he was a little bit above 54, so almost a 1.2, 1.3 second fall off over the course of 22 laps. So not awful, but there is some tire wear. Tires do make a difference. You can run, or you can gain some track position by just taking right side tires, or getting all four, or even skipping it. It will cost you by probably lap 2, though. The fresher tires will be able to overtake. But Chris Buescher was the fastest in 5-lap average. William Byron was fastest in 10-lap average. But since the 5-lap average was kind of the spot that everybody completed laps at, I went with that. Now you can see where Chris Buescher came out, fired off fairly quickly, and then kind of seesawed back and forth, which kind of shows me a little indication of a slightly mishandled car. But, one up and down, probably he kind of slowed up a little bit, had an issue, or thought the car was getting tight or getting loose, came in for an adjustment, came back out, fired off pretty quick, and then once again slowed up again. So it's always hard to say unless you've got all of their in-car communications and you're actually watching Chris Buescher's lap times and seeing actually what he is dealing with. Maybe a car got loose in front of him that slowed him up, that caused a significant spike in time or whatnot. But so Denny Hamlin, once again, may not be as fast on, a couple of laps, but overall his speed looks really, really good. Kyle Larson, our next most expensive driver at $10,500, starting outside pole. So kind of crazy. The two most expensive drivers starting first and second. No surprise there. Kyle Larson was fastest in single lap. He did 19 total laps of practice, and he was third fastest in 5-lap average. Very, very consistent. Kyle Larson and Hendrick are really starting to show better speed throughout an entire race as a whole. Now, Alex Bowman is still struggling with speed. I'm a little unsure there what's exactly going on with the 48. I don't know if they've just kind of said, okay, we're just going to use this as a test car. And, sorry about your luck, Alex Bowman, but you're going to have to go find a ride next year. Maybe Alex Bowman goes to the 21. I don't have a clue what's going to happen there, but I'm 50-50 on whether I'd be surprised or not if Alex Bowman is still in the 48 next year or not. I know there's a lot of rumors about Corey Day coming in and taking over that ride, which I think would be a little bit of a mistake. or maybe Connor Zilic moving from Trackhouse over to the 48. And boy, Connor Zilic has had just an absolute rough go at it. I don't necessarily think it's all him. I think part of it is the guys at Trackhouse are also dealing with some stuff. Because if we look, Daniel Suarez is having maybe a career year at this point. With the start of the year, you would have put Spire and Trackhouse at about the same level. Well, that's not the case. Maybe it's just Trackhouse has really got some struggles on the ovals. It's interesting to see what's going on with Trackhouse. I'm a little miffed and confused. They're going to be fine on the road courses because SVG and Zilic are that good at road courses. They could take a really bad slow car and make it that much better. But we're talking Kyle Larson at Pocono. He is starting on side pole. His practice speeds were both top 3. But if we look over the last 5 races, for the 5 races we're comparing to, which are the 3 Pocono, 1 Indy, 1 Loudon race, no wins, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a 9.8 average running position. At Pocono last year, Kyle Larson finished 7th. 18 total races at Pocono, no wins, 4 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 15 out of 18 top 20s, and a 13.9 average finish. Not one of Kyle Larson's best tracks, not one of his worst tracks. It's kind of in the middle. His practice speeds seem to be really, really good, though. My only question and concern is, what is the long run speed for the Chevys and Hendrick? That part it's a little, we don't know. And what is it going to do in traffic? That seems to be actually, honestly, where the Chevys really seem to struggle, is being back in traffic and mired in traffic. They just can't seem to go anywhere. Last week at Michigan, Denny Hamlin got out front, had the clean air, and just absolutely pulled away from the field, winning by 11 seconds. Being chased by a Toyota and Eric Jones and another Toyota, Bubba Wallace. But before Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace were able to overtake Daniel Suarez and Carson Hocevar, they were both battling for the lead. The long run speed and the aero, once they got into dirty air, really kind of affected their cars. So I just don't know if the Chevys are quite there yet. They're better than the Fords at this point, but I'm not sure they've got enough to battle with the Toyotas. It's getting closer. All right, so we've got the average speed. We've got Denny Hamlin in the red. Okay, I was trying to see what it did here. Denny Hamlin in the red, Chris Buescher in the blue, and then this, I guess, green is Kyle Larson. Pretty much right there, mixed into and right around all the other fast guys. Where he fell in practice sessions, ranking wise, absolutely makes sense. They're just all a little bit up and down, but 3 different corners, 3 different braking points. It's easy to slip in one corner and be faster in another corner from one lap to the next. So I think the speeds are fine. They're faster than average. He's starting up front. He'll have to battle Denny for clean air, and we'll see who goes out there and gets out front first. Oh yeah, we haven't done the calculator yet. Let me pull the calculator up. All right, so the Racing in the Draft DK calculator. I don't know what we're going to call it. The DK calculator is what AI called it. So we'll let it there. We'll go from there. Denny Hamlin starting from the pole. He is projected to finish 4th because that's kind of where this average finish is for the 5 races we're comparing to, and what the current trend line is at. And you can change this number however you want, up and down. And as you see, it changes the point total as you move those up and down. I was able to use a little spinning wheel last week. What did it do to it? It changed it. Got to go yell at Claude after this. All right, but anyway, so if you think Denny Hamlin will go out first and finish in first, and he has an average, let's see, average fast lap of 12 and 44.6. It has it at 12 here. You can probably even go up to, let's say, 20. And average laps led of 15 and 66. So let's just take that up to 40, because it's about a 2-for-1 special, which means for every 2 laps led, typically you can get 1 fast lap. I don't know why that completely works out, but it does. That'll take Denny Hamlin to 64 points. Now the question is, let's say he finishes third. That takes him to 60 points, still within the optimal range. If he falls back all the way to 8th, that's 55 points. That's going to be borderline optimal or not optimal. It depends on what other high-priced drivers end up doing. So I like the laps led at least probably around 40. That would be at least all of stage 1, because our first stage is 35 laps. The second stage is 65 laps, and the third stage is 65 laps. So it's a 35 lap run, and with the caution laps involved with stage breaks, it's a 35 lap run, probably a 60 lap run, and a 60 lap run. So they can go the full distance on a fuel tank in stage 1. They don't need tires in stage 1. If we don't see an early caution or a caution during stage 1, they're not going to come to pit road. They're going to wait till the end of the stage break, and then they're going to come. So if that's kind of the way you end up figuring this out, is, okay, Denny Hamlin gets the lead early and is able to lead the bulk or the majority of stage 1, which is 35 laps. Well, that he only needs 5 more laps after that. If you lead all of stage 1 and everybody pits at the same time, Denny Hamlin, starting from the pole, has the best pit stall. Typically, that will keep him out front. So, and then he leads another 5 laps. At some point, gets a top 5 finish, gets him to 59 points. So, I'll have him finishing in third, 40 points, 20 fast laps. We'll lock the score in. So what you can see up here, it's really small, so depending on what you're looking at, but up here it locks it in at 60. So if you go to the rankings, it shows 60. And as we build this out, this will continue to grow. All right, so now we go back to the calculator. Kyle Larson is here. We already went through kind of all of Kyle Larson's numbers. So let's go back and fill him in on the calculator also. All right, he is starting from the second. His projected finish is around 10th. Fast laps of 7 and 9. I think we could probably go 6 and 12. Well, if he finishes in 10th, that's 39.7 points. If he can make it up to about 4th, it's 45 points. If you can make it to first, it's 51 points. So you see how this calculator works. You kind of build out what you think may happen. And then based on fast laps and laps led, gets you a point total. This is also a great tool to utilize if you're doing the pick 6 with Draftkings, or I can't remember the other one. But if you're doing any of those that have the option of how many points will this driver get, and you could take the over or under, this is a great way to kind of go in and see, okay, what would this driver need to do to get to that point threshold, and do I like the over or do I like the under? So Kyle Larson here, starting second, finishing in 4th, lead 12 laps, have 6 fast laps. I mean, I think that's an okay day. It's kind of probably about where he's been running most of this year. In fact, he's kind of finishing about 5th, but we'll leave it at 4th. He was pretty fast in practice, so we'll lock him in at 45.7. And that's where you're going to start to see place differential is going to mean a bunch. All right. Next in line is Tyler Reddick. So let's look at Tyler Reddick's driver reference card here. He's 10,300, starting from the 16th position. It's actually a really bad starting spot. Might be one of Tyler Reddick's worst starting spots so far this year. He's been on fire for qualifying. His practice speeds were 11th and 25th, which is actually a little slow too. He usually is. He was in the first group, and the first group's actually typically faster, but it was not faster for today at Pocono. And I don't really understand the reasoning why in that, because the tire must not have been laying down a lot of rubber, or it got cleaned off somehow, because Group 2 was much faster than Group 1, and that's usually the reverse. But Tyler Reddick, 11th in single lap. He was first in Group 1, though. 20 laps of practice, and he was 25th on the 5-lap average. So he really fell off on that 5-lap run, which is a little odd also. So a little, maybe slightly concerning with what may be going on with Tyler Reddick. Unsure. But at Pocono, numbers aren't great either. In the last 5 races we're comparing to, which are the 3 Pocono, 1 Indy, 1 Loudon, 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, 2 top 20s, an 18.0 average running position. He finished 32nd here at Pocono last year. 7 total starts at Pocono with a 12.8 average finish, and starting in 16th. Not great. Tyler Reddick is in this green here, kind of a neon green, I guess. I mean, he's better than average for most of the run. Then it kind of falls a little bit out of the average and then back under average again. So better than average. You know, he said that they had speed in his interview, so I'm not overly worried about that. Yeah, the question is, how far can he end up climbing up the chart throughout the day? Well, starting in 16th, if we go out for the average, it'd be 18th. And if he's starting that far back, how many laps does he actually end up leading? 2, maybe? Maybe 1? I'm probably just apt to give him the 1, because I don't, if we're drawing it up in the thought process is, Denny Hamlin leads a lot of laps at the beginning. The question is, who ends up leading laps in the middle of the race or towards the end? Maybe Tyler Reddick does come up and he's able to lead laps. The problem is, being marred back in traffic, it's a little tougher of a call. And the fact that he doesn't lead a ton of laps at Pocono. He has an average laps led of 3. So, and all it takes is one race that he led 15 laps, and because we're sample sizing of 5 races, that takes you down to 3. So the sample size isn't the issue. It's that he just doesn't lead a whole lot of laps at this style track. So if that's the case, that's going to significantly keep the fast laps down. I think maybe he gets to 3 and maybe 1 lap led. Now the question is, does he finish 18th? I think they have the ability to finish better than that, but I also thought he would dominate last week at Michigan and ended up getting wrecked out early. So, we'll move Tyler Reddick to like a 10th. And I think that's kind of about where it is. I mean, the average trend for the last 5 oval style races of 14.2. So honestly, it should be closer to here. Maybe we split the difference and go to 12. I mean, it's 4 places of place differential, 3 fast laps, 1 lap led. And that's kind of where we're at. Now, if you think Tyler Reddick's going to end up doing better, then you go into your calculator yourself and you move it to 6. Or if you think he's going to win, you put him there. I'm going to kind of leave him in that 12-ish range. I think it could be a little bit better, but I can also see it being a little bit worse. So we'll lock that in there. And we'll move on. Ryan Blaney is next on the driver chart. $10,000 flat. Nope, 10,001 for Ryan Blaney, starting in 10th. His practice speeds, I'm telling you, the Fords are really, really struggling. Ryan Blaney is able to hold his head above water. Zane Smith's been able to hold his head above water. Joe Logano's been really inconsistent. Austin Cindric's been super inconsistent. Josh Berry's been pretty far out there. RFK has been hit or miss at best recently. And when your practice speeds are 22nd and 17th, that's concerning. Now, at the 5 tracks we're comparing to, the 3 at Pocono, 1 at Indy, 1 at Loudon, Ryan Blaney's got 2 wins. But those were all in the last year. So we don't have any data from this year. So it's a little tough because Ford and Penske last year, at this point, had better speed. At long straightaways, when you need to maximize top end speed, the Fords are missing on that. So as much as I like the fact that Ryan Blaney has 2 wins for those 5 races, with 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and an 8.4 average running position, it also has not been going as well for Ryan Blaney. He finished 3rd in this race here at Pocono last year. Okay, good. 15 total starts at Pocono with 2 wins, 12.4 average finish. Look at his practice speeds. He is in the green, and he bounces up and down the average line. That's a little concerning. Not awful, but a little concerning. I don't see anything significant here that makes me think he's going to go out and work his way to the front quickly, or be able to maintain it or hold it. So I think it's kind of probably finish where you start. Ryan Blaney starting in 10th. The average is 9.2. So, maybe a 9th place finish. But I don't think he gets up and leads a bunch of laps. I think maybe if we have green flag pit stops and he stays out for a few laps, he'll gain a couple. So I'll give him 4. And the fast laps, the Fords are just don't have pure speed right now. So I'll give it 2 and kind of lock it in from there. And I think this is based more on what Ryan Blaney is going to be able to do with the Ford, not with what Penske or Fords have going on. So this part has a Ryan Blaney push to the better side. So we'll lock him in at 37.9. And just to kind of show you, it automatically puts everybody ranked in your order. And when you download the CSV file, we'll do that at the end, it shows you what that is. So, all right, Chase Briscoe, our winner from Pocono last year and our laps leader dominator last year. 9,900 on DraftKings, starting in the 5th position. Practice speeds were 10th on single lap, 12th and 5 lap. Toyotas and Chevys were pretty quick, mostly the Toyotas. He does have that 1 win from last year at the 5 tracks we're comparing to. 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 14.6 average running position. Like I said, he finished first here last year. But out of his 6 total starts at Pocono, he does have that 1 win. Beyond that, it's 2 top 20s with an 18.7 average finish. This was his first win with Joe Gibbs Racing last year at Pocono. So that was his first win. But all those prior races are all with Ford and Stewart-Haas when Stewart-Haas was in existence. Completely different team, setup, car, all that stuff. So looking at some of that is a little bit hard to give full comparison to. I think Chase Briscoe will be fine. Could he go out and win again? Sure. The Toyotas have been extremely fast. And if you didn't get a chance to listen, Bussin' with the Boys this week, Chase Briscoe and Noah Gregson were the 2 guests on Bussin' with the Boys. And that podcast is an absolute ride. If you're just looking for just a different personality take on these NASCAR drivers, that is an enjoyable listen. Every one of them so far has been very humorous, very funny, very personal, in depth. Not, I mean, they talk about a lot of racing, but they talk a lot about personal stuff too. So quite interesting. If we look at Chase Briscoe's lap times, I mean, he's decent. He's in the gold or this greenish color. I am colorblind, so it's a little hard for me to distinguish between that color. He fires off perfectly fine, and then kind of gets closer to the average once we get to about lap 10 or so. And he definitely really fell off here. And that could easily just be an anomaly where he had to slow up for another driver, maybe push too hard in a corner, which is fine. I'm looking at the overall speed. Is he as fast as Denny Hamlin? No. Is he as fast as Busher? No. Was he as fast as Larson? No, not either. So nothing makes me think that Chase Briscoe is going to go out and set the world on fire tomorrow. Tomorrow's a different day and anything could change. But, do I think it's a 15th place finish? I could go either way with it. He did finish first here last year and led 72 laps. And I'm not sure anybody really saw that happening, but it did. So I'm going to say the Toyota's got some really good speed. We'll give him an 8th place finish, and I'm not going to go to 25 laps led. That's taking the 72 into account from last year. And he's, starting from 5th. Maybe he gets 4 laps led and 2 fast laps. Very similar to kind of what I think Tyler Reddick's going to do. I think very, very similar. Maybe we move him to 7th, since he did win last year. So 5th to 7th, 2 fast laps, 4 laps led, 38.9. We'll lock it in. And we'll move on to Christopher Bell, who is really, really lucky. Gosh, am I glad that he is okay. Now, he's got a pretty banged up wrist, but he's going to be okay. He's going to be able to race. The question is, how will that wrist hold up? He will start the race. Anything that happens after that, he will be credited with the points. So if he happens to get to lap 100 of 160 and all of a sudden is like, my wrist is killing me, I can't do this. And they have a replacement driver ready to go. Brandon Jones is there to relieve Christopher Bell if he needs relief, but Bell says he's going to be okay. The one that's going to be more concerning is when we're going to go right and left, and it's a little more difficult to do that when you've got a broken wrist on one of your hands. So the real question is, how will he be next week at San Diego and Sonoma the week following? But we're at the Oval this week. Now, Christopher Bell is starting 22nd. Practice speeds were 25th and 34th. Not overly concerned with the practice speeds. I think there's still overall speed in that Toyota. And I think Christopher Bell is adjusting to having to drive, for the most part, one-handed. He did break his left wrist. That was the one that he pretty much talked on the microphone and did a lot of different controls in his car. And he shifted and drove mostly with his right and left. So he's not going to have a whole lot of use with his left hand, so he's going to have to kind of drive one-handed, and we do have to shift. I don't love the scenario. These guys can overcome a lot of pain and a lot of adversity, but it's the first one back since that wreck. I don't think it's going to be an issue where he's got a mental thing going in that he's going to afraid to hit the wall. Because these guys, Christopher Bell came from the Dirt Series. He flipped and turned and over and wrecked a lot of race cars in his life. And this one, as extreme as it was, still probably wasn't as scary to Christopher Bell as it was to the rest of us. But like I said, he did break his wrist. So I'm sure he's in a lot of pain. He's starting 22nd, and honestly, his practice speeds bounce in and around the average line, and the average line is going to be 19th. So I honestly think he improves slightly, but probably not all that much. If we look at the calculator for Christopher Bell, it's got him projected as a 10th place finish. I'm going to bump it down to lucky number 13, because his luck has not been that great this year. And honestly, maybe he leads a lap and maybe he has a fast lap. Now, I think it's probably closer to 15th. Oh, we'll cut it in half and go to 14th. So 14th place finish, 22nd starting spot. I think that might be generous. Now, there is part of this adversity curve that he could, when things like this happen, let's say, Michael Jordan's got the flu and scores record high points, and there have been drivers who have not felt good and overcome, and because they're so focused on not focusing on the pain, they focused on their driving, that they just are able to do better. I'm not going to go fully with that. I'm going to say 14th. It could be better than that, but it's probably about as good as I want to go. So we'll lock him in there. So we'll check the ranking systems. Denny Hamlin still at the top. Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell. All right, let's keep on moving down the line here. William Byron, 9,500, starting from the 9th position. You guys have been kind of quiet tonight. Everybody watching the NBA playoff games, or World Cup, or just not in the chatty mood tonight. I know Family Man's driving. I don't know where Daniel is. But Andrew, I appreciate you tuning in. Joanne, I appreciate you tuning in. If anybody else has got any thoughts, questions, wants, concerns, definitely hit me up in the chat. I'm with you. What's up, Freebird? I was listening to Freebird on the way home this afternoon. So, love that song. William Byron, 9,500, starting from the 9th position. Practice speeds were 8th on the single lap, 6th in the 5-lap consecutive average. At Pocono, in the 5 tracks we're comparing to, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 12.8 average running position. They finished 27th in this race last year. Not great. 11 total starts here, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 10 top 20s, a 9.0 average finish. So average finish looks pretty good. The rest of it's middle of the road. Kind of makes me think we're probably going to finish where we start type scenario. And William Byron has definitely had a rough go. I can also see William Byron potentially doing well in this race. If we look at his practice speeds, they're pretty good. I mean, his fire-off speed, not quite as good as Chris Buescher's, but he's better than Denny Hamlin. He's kind of in the middle here, and is better than average for the majority of this run. Now, he is starting in the 11th position. Andrew says, yep, running my NASCAR numbers. Are you running them on the calculator? Are you doing stuff different than me? Hope you are. You should be. William Byron, because we all did the same. We'd all end up in the same, and we'd all be tied. Nobody wants that, unless we're all going to tie for first. I've always said I'll be more than happy to split a top pot with somebody. All right, William Byron starting in 9th. I honestly think I have a gut feeling that he could finish better than that, but I'm actually bumping him up in the finishing average compared to the average. And I don't know if he goes and leads a bunch of laps. So I'm gonna give him the 4 and 2 because I think there's a potential that he gets a few, but I'm not sold that he's going to go out and dominate. Start in 9th, finish in 9th. If you think he's going to finish maybe in 6, you move him down. I'm going to hold him at 9th, 36.9. Lock him in. We'll check the ranking systems, and that actually puts William Byron last. I think he probably does better than that, but no, I said 9th. We'll stick with 9th. All right, Chase Elliott, next in line here. And man, did Chase Elliott feel bad about that contact with Christopher Bell last week. Definitely kind of shook Chase Elliott up a little bit. Definitely not on purpose by any means. Chase Elliott, 9,200, starting 23rd. Well, practice speeds were 30th and 21st. Practice speeds did not look good. But Chase Elliott does that a lot. A lot of times his practice speeds don't look great, and his qualifying doesn't look great, and then he shows up and he ends up finishing 7th or 6th or wins. But at the 5 tracks we're comparing to, 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s out of the 5 races, 8.4 average running position, 53.3 Draftkings average. For the last 4 races at Pocono, he's got the second best average finish. I do know that. And he did get gifted the win in 2022. He finished 5th in this race last year here. 15 total starts with a 12.6 average finish, 4 top 5s, 10 top 10s. Starting in 23rd, we've got a lot of we may have one of our first place differential guys here. And looking at his practice speeds, that's the concerning part. And the problem is you just don't know exactly what this is saying. But I have seen Chase Elliott more times than not be slower in practice and then have decent speed. Not race-winning speed, but decent speed in a race. And Alex Gufferson's going to do some magic and get him probably further up front. Now, this has an average finish of 8th, which I actually don't necessarily mind. The practice speeds concern me a little bit, so I'll bump him down to 11th. And because he's starting so far back, it's going to be tough to get many laps led. I want to take him down to 1 and 1. Still 45.8 points. Puts him second on the chart. But this is our first real place differential driver other than Tyler Reddick starting in 16th. Ty Gibbs next in line. Andrew says, I think he likes to get his car ready for a race and doesn't travel. Yes, absolutely. That is absolutely the point. The problem is when you get mired back in the muck, it just opens up an opportunity for potentially wreck. I mean, heck, Denny Hamlin last week ended up getting spun in the middle of stage 2 and still came back to win the race. Not that saying that Tyler Reddick can't do all of that, but inches away from Denny Hamlin having a destroyed race car, and not winning the race. The problem with doing that is a lot of times if you're back there stuck in the middle of all that crap, sometimes it's a little more difficult. And trust me, I don't think those guys want to be back there. They'd much rather start up front. But I think the practice is true that they're building more for speed in the race in dirty air. Because you're also going with the premonition of this is Denny Hamlin's best track. Denny Hamlin's on a hot streak. Everything's headed in the right direction for Denny Hamlin. Do you think you're going to go out, be fast enough in qualifying to out-qualify Denny and not be in the middle of the muck? Or if you think you're being in the middle of the muck, then set your car up to drive well in that. So I agree with you, and I think he ends up having a better finish. And I think an 8th place finish is probably decent for him. Ty Gibbs, 8,900, starting in 4th. His practice speeds were 7th and 4th. Typical Joe Gibbs type of speed here. But for the 5 races we're comparing to, I think only 2 of these. No, he's got a total of 4 starts at Pocono. So all 5 of these races are in comparison for Ty Gibbs. So 5 races that we're comparing to, 1 top 5, 1 top 10, 2 top 20s. That's not great. A 20.4 average running position. Not great. Finished 14th in this race last year. Decent, but starting 4th, that's concerning. Now, Ty Gibbs quietly is having a much better year than he's ever had. So there is that. Question is, recently it's been a little bit shaky, not quite as good as his first 10 races of the year. And out of 4 starts, he's got a 22.5 average here at Pocono. All of those are being concerning, especially when you're starting 4th. And you got to get somehow past Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. I don't know if he's got that type of speed. He's in the green gold here, fires off, seems to be pretty much in line and average with Denny Hamlin's speed. has a whoopsie lap or two, comes in, probably makes an adjustment, goes back out, and is probably about normal. Normal being top 10, like a 6th, 7th place finish. Yeah, I didn't mean to. We'll put him at 7th. I think that's being kind of generous for the average. And we'll go 2-2, maybe 38.4. Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, we'll lock that in. We'll look at the rankings real quick. Denny, Chase, Kyle, Briscoe, Bell. So far, top 5. And remember, when I build my lineups, I've always talked about the top 15. And that's kind of where I'm trying to get to, is I'm looking for the top 15 drivers. And then I'll take the top 15. That'll be my core. Then I'll take the next 7 or 8 in my lineups. That'll be my sub core. And that's what gets run roughly 10%. The core gets run 15 to 50%. And then I'll mix and match some people that I think might be one-offs, be okay. Sneaky picks, sleeper picks, and those types of things to differentiate. Freebird says, guess who you haven't done yet that I think is a free square this week? Bubba Wallace or Brett Kozlowski. I think both of them are kind of free squares. Because it's not Carson Osevar. I don't know. Starting 26, I wouldn't say it's a free square, though. He is chaos. He's got a 17th place average finish here. He finished 18th, which means 17th. He's finished 16th and 18th. Okay. Not bad. Not great. He has been faster than he was last year. So maybe you bump him up a couple more spots, maybe 12th. But Carson has a tendency to overdrive things. He personally admits that. He admitted it today during qualifying. It's like, I have a tendency to overdrive it. I just want to go to the front. I just want to drive fast. And sometimes that gets you in trouble. Now, he's a good enough driver. I've seen him almost wreck it off of turn 3/4 twice and saved it both times here at Pocono. But that's what I mean. He overdrives the corners. He tries too hard, ends up getting himself in trouble. So, with that being said, let's look at his practice speeds. Once again, it fired off extremely fast. 52.94 to Denny Hamlin's 52.865. Like literally 0.07 of a second off on fast time. What was he? 4th in single lap. Yeah, he fired off extremely fast. Falls off a little bit worse, comes back, he's okay, falls off again. I mean, starting 26, we've got a lot of room to run. So definitely do not mind the Kyle Larson or the Carson Hocevar play this week. But let's put it on the calculator. Carson starting 26. I mean, 14th place on the average. I think that's probably fine. Now, he has a tendency to run more fast laps. So the 2-to-1 ratio for fast laps to laps led does change a little bit with Carson, and another driver, AJ Allmendinger, has a tendency to have fast laps. How many laps does Carson Hocevar lead? I'll give him the token 1, but that's about it, really. And I'll give him the 4. And I think 14th is a decent average for what we're doing and building. Gives him 44 points. I mean, that puts him 4th on the chart. I'm fine with that. I mean, he's got some place differential potential. Now, he's going to get probably owned fairly heavily because of it also. So just keep that in mind. Chris Buescher, 8,500, starting in the 6th position. His practice speeds were 5th, and he fell all the way to 30th on 5-lap consecutive average. Ugh. The question is, what happened to what happened to Brett Kozlowski's car? They had engine issues. Is that an RFK thing? Is that a one-off? Is it? So I have not had a chance to investigate why Brad had an engine issue during qualifying. That is a little abnormal. So I'll be interested to see what is said about that and if we can find it. Find out what that was. We may not ever be able to find out what it was. But if you dig deep enough, a lot of times you can find it. And if I happen to find out what it was, I'll post it in the Discord when I do. But I put that at about a 20% chance we find out exactly what went wrong with Brad Keselowski's car. But is that a concern for Chris Buescher? I mean, you kind of have to put that in the back of your mind and be like, yeah, maybe, but I'm not going to think about it too much. He's starting in the 6th position. Like I said, practice speed for 5th, 13.0 average running position for the 5 races we're comparing to. 1 top 5, 1 top 10, but consistently in the top 20. So decent finishes, but because the starting spot's so good, it could potentially spoil that in the world of Draftkings. He did finish 4th in this race last year. 20.3 is his average finish at the Tricky Triangle. He does have 1 win. So it's kind of hit or miss for Chris Buescher. Either it's going to be pretty good or it's going to be pretty bad. So you pick which one you think it's going to be. And why didn't Chris Buescher show up on my chart? I thought I checked everybody. So yeah, we don't. Oh, because he's the blue. Never mind. He is there. He's the control car for 5 lap speed, which is from lap 2 to lap 7. He was fast. Of course, he falls off all the way to 30th by lap 5. Or after that. What is this doing here? 30th in 5 lap. He was not 30th in 5 lap. He was 1st in 5 lap. What is AI doing to me here? Oh, well. He was 5th and 1st. I don't know why it says 30th. I'll have to investigate that. We're not going to do that right now, though. He was 1st fast in... Oh, I think he was 30th in 10 lap average. So I don't know why it went back to 5 lap. Or went to 10 lap when I said 5. I don't know. AI is weird sometimes. You absolutely, if you start using AI a lot, you have to double, triple, quadruple check it. I will say that. All right, let's put him on the calculator. Keep on keeping on. All right, starting in 6th. I mean, honestly, I think 13th is probably a decent finish. I don't think he has 8 fast laps. Bring it down to 1 and 1. Yeah, I mean, maybe 12th. Yeah, I think it's probably about a 12th to 15th place finish. I'll go on the high side and take 12th. We'll lock it in from there. And we'll move on to my favorite driver, if everybody knows, Joey Logano. We actually ended up having a pretty good run last week. And I actually thought he might. I did run him in a fair amount of my lineups. But as much as I regret and don't like running him, he did have a decent day last week. 8,300 starting 11th. He was 20th in single lap, 8th in 5 lap. So almost the reverse of his teammate Ryan Blaney, who was fast in single lap, slower in longer lap run speed. 2 top 5, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s for the 5 races we're comparing to. He does have 1 win here at Pocono out of 29 total starts with a 17.5 average finish. He finished 16th in this race last year. I said the Fords have struggled. Is it possible for a top 10? Maybe. Is it more probably realistic somewhere between kind of that 12th to 15th, like I said with Buescher? Probably about the same. We look at his practice speeds. They actually are pretty consistent and pretty much follow slightly better than average, but still not as good as Buescher or Hamlin's speed. So, starting from 11th, I think you probably almost get what you got and you finish where you start. This says 18th. I'll give him a 14th. And we're not going to lead laps starting with far back. I'll give him the 1-1 treatment. 30.8. Lock it in and move on to Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man. All right. $8,100 starting in 24th. He was 9th in single lap, 5th in 5-lap consecutive average. I think he was in Group 1 of practice. I can't remember. I was at my son's baseball game when practice was going on, so I tried to catch up on the replay after the O'Reilly race, and I got kind of cut short a little bit. Busher was fastest in 5-lap, but Busher was also one of the slower cars once they hit 10-lap. But that's pretty normal. But yes, thank you, Skull4519. I think that's how you pronounce it. I appreciate that. Thank you. And thanks for joining in. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And if everybody else is new here, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and also join us in the Discord. And if you want to use the fancy Nancy calculator I'm using, you can go to racinginthedraft.com and use it for free while supplies last. Oh, it's digital. There's plenty of supplies. Or at least while it's still free. I'll probably always keep the calculator there for free. It's the other stuff that I'm building behind it that may end up being a small pay window, like $5. Not looking to make a whole lot of money, at least right out of the gate. If we hit on the next greatest thing, maybe we'll be 10. I don't know. I just kind of want to make my money back on it. That's all I really care about. Ross Chastain, and then helping you guys out. 8,100 starting at 24th. But whoo, let's look at this. 9th and 5th. Okay. Decent on practice speeds. Trackhouse has struggled on most all tracks this year except for road courses. Ross has struggled at most all racetracks. For the 5 races we're comparing to, even during the good years, because it's 2025, 24, 23, 1 top 10, 2 top 20s, a 24.6 average running position. He finished 26th in this race last year. His stats at Pocono are horrendous. 10 total starts, no top 5s, no top 10, only 1 out of 10 in the top 20, and a 31.4 average finish. That's brutal. Ross Chastain, he fired off perfectly fine. He ran better than average. He was better than average for most of the run. But, man, that average finish is just brutal here at Pocono. Yeah, I mean, starting 24th, we've got some room to run. But, you know, I'll give him a 19th. And we'll give him the token 1-for-1. We'll lock it in at 30.8, and we'll move on to, well, that puts him in the same spot as Ross. Hold on. 19th, 30.5, 1-1. We'll give him 2 fast laps. That way, I don't like when we have ties all over the place. 31.2. Locked in. Look at our ranking systems. All right, we got Denny still at the top. Chase, Larson, Hocevar, Briscoe, Bell. All right, next in line here, Bubba Wallace. Somebody said free square. I think I heard free square. Last year, Bubba started 34th and was 56% owned, and finished 36. Good call there. Good call. So, Freebird, who's your free square? Bubba Wallace started 38th, who finished 36 and has a 21.8 average finish? Maybe, or maybe not. Out of the 5 races we're comparing to, he did win Indy, which is very, very similar. So, almost last place at Pocono. I can't remember how many cars were in the race last year. To first place at Indy. To, who knows? He's 15th and 28th in practice speeds. Moderate to okay. Total 12 starts at Pocono, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a 21.8 average finish. It's either he's going to run well or he's going to run not so great. And we look at his practice speeds. They were fine until they weren't. Because I think he spun in practice, or was it qualifying? I can't remember. Because I didn't make it all the way through qualifying. And I thought he made it all the way through practice. No, I don't know. Either way, I mean, practice speeds are about average. But he's starting shotgun from the field. Dead last. All right. Bubba Wallace, 38th to 17th. I don't think you're going to lead whole lot of laps. And I said that last week about Denny, and Denny ended up leading 40. So, but we'll give the 1-1 treatment, 38th. We'll take the average of 17th and we'll leave it there. And it's a 48.8. Now, if you think it's going to be worse, you can bump him down to 20th or whatever spot you want and save it. I'll keep it as a 20th. I mean, it's a almost 50% gain. We'll lock it in. That's going to put him 5th on the board. That sounds about right for somebody who's starting that far back. Now, once again, just like somebody said, he's going to end up. Andrew says he's a good play, but I wouldn't lock him in. Nope, I wouldn't lock him in either. Just like I wouldn't lock Carson Osavar in, or I wouldn't lock anybody in. I typically, unless I really have a great feeling about somebody, I don't think I ever run anybody much over 45%. Because literally, we've got back-to-back drivers that had issues and didn't really take a qualifying lap. Brad Keselowski's next in line. Prime example. And what happened to the engine? Got to do some more investigation into that. That one definitely was a little concerning. And his practice speeds aren't great. 29th in single lap, 35th in 5-lap consecutive average. Out of the 5 races, we're comparing to 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, 12.0 average running position. That's the highlight. Finished 9th in this race last year. All right, that's not bad. 27 total starts, 1 win, 11 top 5, 17 out of 27 top 10s, 10.5 average finish. Brad's typically usually really good here at Pocono. I think they had an issue in that car even during practice. Because you can see he's just not even close to really being on pace. They did make a slight improvement, but not a whole lot better. Lost Profit. Yo, what's up, buddy? Freebird says, ding, 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 that's my man. We're talking about, I may have missed that. Brad or Bubba? Which one of the B's do you like? Brad or Bubba? Last Profit says, do I owe you $20? Laugh out loud, probably. I honestly haven't gone back to look. It was that real expensive one that I did last week was about god awful. I think I almost came back to make a little bit of money in that. Brad, yeah, I like the Brad thing. I think because they're gonna either replace the engine or they're gonna be able to go through that car with a fine-tooth comb and just take their penalty and start from the rear end of the field, which they're already doing. I think they're going to be perfectly fine. The rest of the RFK drivers' cars seem to be fine. They'll figure out what's wrong with it. I do like the Brad call. He'll take his time. He's got a good 10.5 average finish. Like I said, it just fired off wrong too. I think there was an issue coming off the truck. Now, that could be concerning if they can't figure it out. So there is that risk that they think they figured it out, they get 10 laps in and go, whoops, we still have an issue. That can happen, so don't be overly surprised. Holy crap, San Antonio's up 15 again on New York, but I don't see a comeback happening this time for New York. So I think we're going to go back to New York 3-2. That's my guess for this. And then they're going to win in New York, and New York, they're going to burn it down. Let's see. All right, Brad K, 37th to 12th. I mean, even if we go to 15th, we're not going to lead any laps. Hate to tell you, not starting. Well, Denny led laps. I understand it could happen. I'm only gonna put him in for 1. And fast laps will go to 1. 15th. Still gonna put him second on the board. We'll lock it in. Yeah, that puts Brad second on the board. I'm fine with that. I think Brad deserves to probably be second on the board for DraftKings. And I probably think Brad will be in that 35, 40, 45% owned range. The same as Denny will be, and the same as Bubba will probably be. I probably will be a little bit off on the Bubba call. Last Problem says, I'll have to scroll back. I'll see you in Discord. Yep, I'll be around. Just hit me up in there once you get done. And, if anybody's got any questions after we finish all this video, we will be in the Discord. I'm in there most of the day tomorrow. And I'm in there for the entire race also tomorrow. I do a lot of note taking and things of that nature. So I can remember next year what happened throughout the race. Daniel Suarez, $7,700. I tell you what, Suarez is on fire right now. If it wasn't for Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez would be the talk of the garage right now. He and that 7 team are on fire. $7,700, starting third. He was third in single lap, not first in 5 lap, but he was fast. Where was he in? Let's pull this up. I'm curious again. Something got screwed up there. What was he in practice? Let's see. Cup results. Practice for the Great American Getaway. Practice speeds. Daniel Suarez was 4th in 10 lap. He was 3rd in 5 lap. And overall, he was 3rd in lap. So 3rd and 3rd and 3rd. 3rd all the way around. Give that guy a 3. Average finish of 14.2. That's actually not bad for an average finish for Daniel Suarez. Finished 15th in this race last year. Yeah, I mean he and Eric Jones are both on heaters right now, along with Denny. Denny's 1 spot ahead of both of them. But both Daniel and Eric Jones are outperforming what I thought they were going to be doing. Now Daniel's fired off fast and then kind of fell off. They made some adjustments and he came back. Okay. That's a little concerning how fast he fell off, but they didn't make an adjustment and they still had speed. So not overly concerning. But starting in 3rd, that's tough. He's been able to hold and maintain when he starts in the top 10, staying in the top 10 this year. Kind of like when SVG starts in the top 10, he's been able to maintain and hold somewhere in that top 10. Same thing with Eric Jones. There is something to be said about being able to start up front and being able to stay up front if you just stay consistent with it. So we'll go worst case scenario. We'll move Daniel to 6th. We'll give him the 1-1 treatment. 38.8. Now, if you think he happens to get another top 5 finish, that's a 41.8. I'm going to leave him at 6th just for a little bit of slippage, but I honestly think Daniel Suarez could easily finish in the top 10 tomorrow and continue a potentially career year for him. So, and same thing with our next driver, Eric Jones. Andrew says, hard call. His speed is good, but I feel like he's starting too high. But yeah, Daniel's been doing that all the last few races, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, let me pull the 5 race comparison up. Where did that go? The trend line. The trend is your friend, or the trend isn't your friend. All right, Denny Hamlin has an 11.6 average finish over the last 5 races. Ryan Blaney's at 9.2. Eric Jones is an 8.2. So Eric Jones second. Daniel Suarez is a 10.6. So you've got Denny in first, Eric Jones in second, Ryan Blaney in third, Suarez in fourth over the last 5 races. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. quietly with a 16th place average finish. Yeah, pretty darn good. I'll drag this over so you can see it real quick. Yeah, so I mean, you've got Denny Hamlin, 11.6. Eric Jones, 8.2. Suarez at 10.6. Yeah. I mean, the average starting spot of 13.2, 13.6. I mean, Denny and Tyler are killing it with their average starting spots. Tyler Reddick fell back a little bit. So, yeah, there is that. Get back to the chat real quick. Hard to call. His speed's good. He has to get a fourth to even 5x his value. Fourth, 40.8 for Daniel. Yeah, I mean, I think there's speed with Daniel, there's speed with Eric Jones. I think they both could easily finish top 10. Now, they could also slip, but so could Denny. So could any of these guys. That's why I don't ever overload on any of them. And I think Daniel and Eric Jones are probably going to be in that 12, 13% ownership range. I will probably be closer to the 20% ownership range. I'll be a little bit heavier. And I might play Daniel and Eric in a couple of the higher price tournaments. So I'm going to leave him in a 30.8. Where does that put him on the rankings? Daniel Suarez puts him 9th right now. So I'm sure there's going to be some more guys that maybe come up a little bit higher. Eric Jones next in line here. Let's take a look at old Eric Jones information. Starting 7th, he was 14th and 7th in practice. Okay, decent. 20.0 average running position over the 5 tracks we're comparing to. 1 top 10. 13.5 average finish. What was Daniel Suarez? 14.2. So Eric Jones actually has a little bit better average finish. 4 top 5, 6 top 10s out of 13 starts. So half the time he's finishing in the top 10. Probably one of Eric Jones's better tracks, to be perfectly honest. $7,500 right on the value line cut. And if we put him on the calculator, Eric Jones, 7th. I think maybe finish where you start. Do the 1-on-1, 37.8. I mean, it's 1 point below Daniel Suarez. And honestly, I like Eric Jones more than I like Daniel Suarez. So I'm going to give him a 6th place finish because we've got. Oh, where do we put? We put Daniel what? 10th? No, 12th. What was he at? He was 38.8. 1-1, 36.8. All right, we'll give him 7th, and we'll give Eric Jones 7th. How's that? With a 1-on-1, 37.5. Okay, so yeah, they're 36.8, 37.5. I like that. And that puts 14th and 12th. I'm okay with both of those. I like both of them. I'm not going to run them a ton. I think they're at the tail end of my core, probably more into my sub core. And the guys that have watched this long enough know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, go back and listen to the beginning of the show. But Eric Jones, practice speeds. He is in the green. Better than average for most of the run. Actually, doesn't fall off a whole lot. So I think he kind of runs in the 7th and holds the 7th. I do like Eric Jones better than I like the Daniel Suarez. The Daniel Suarez worries me a little bit with this starting spot compared to Eric Jones. Both of them are slightly worrying. That's why I won't run them a ton. But I'm also not going to fade off of them either. Alex Bowman starting in 12th. Practice speeds were 31st and 27th. Is this similar to, do you think, Chase Elliott, where they're just setting it up for race trim and then you qualified 12th? It's a little worrisome. He's got a 13.6 average finish. Okay, that's not bad. Finished 11th in this race last year, 12.4 average running position. I mean, kind of sounds about where he should be. Man, he fired off really slow, though. Woo! It took him all the way until lap 9 to even hit the average. And then he was a little bit better because he probably didn't abuse his tires. But yeah, they fired off really slow and came back okay. So they're probably going to be okay in race trim. Alex Bowman starting in 12th. I mean, the computer says 12th finish. I'm going to take the fast laps down to 1 and 1. And we'll kind of go from there. I mean, I think a 12th place is starting and finishing probably close to being about right. I'll lock it in 32.8. Austin Cindric starting in 17th. Let's look at Austin Cindric's page. 17th start, 16th in single lap, 32nd in 5 lap. Over the 5 races comparing to 1 top 10, 4 top 20s. He's got 4 starts here at Pocono in the Cup Series, 1 top 10, 2 top 20s, a 25.5 average finish. Ooh, that average finish is awful. It wasn't because of last year. He finished 10th and a 16.6 average running position. Maybe it's about a 15th place finish. Let's look at his practice speeds, though. He fired off perfectly fine in practice. I think probably a 15th place finish probably is about right for Austin Cindric. We'll move him down 2 spots to 15th. We'll give him the 1 and 1 treatment, and we'll see where he falls. 31.8. So slightly worse than Alex Bowman. Yeah, I could put both of them probably about in the same bucket. Probably just sub-core, top end of core. Yeah. I mean, I think I like the Austin Cindric play maybe a touch better because there's just a little bit of place differential more room than Alex Bowman. All right. And everybody's free square. Oh, for next week. Shane Van Gisbergen. 31st starting spot. Practice speeds were 33rd and 23rd on 5-lap consecutive average. And we've got 1 start here where he finished 31st. So an average finish of 31st. Why it didn't come up with the average finish, I don't know. Yeah, let's look at his practice speeds because I don't see anything I like here. I don't see anything I like here either. The question is, do we have enough attrition for it to be worth anything? I don't think so. Trackhouse just, unless SVG qualifies in the top 10 and can hold and maintain up there, he gets back in that muck. You almost need a lot of carnage to happen and him not be part of the carnage or causing the carnage. I mean, I could probably say 22nd, but not going to lead a lap. I'll give him 1 fast lap. Yeah, 30.5, probably where I'll put it. And that's probably honestly being slightly generous. So definitely not core, maybe not even sub-core. It could be a one-off here or there. Ryan Preece starting 35th. Whoa! His practice speeds were 36 and 37. Ugh. Did anybody watch practice? Because the hen car of where he had his head and the amount of room they were talking about that he had between the cushions, I'm just glad he didn't. I mean, you think he would have his head a little bit tighter to everything especially after flipping like he did. What was it, Atlanta or Daytona? He's had some violent wrecks. I did not like the look of his in-car camera. His head bounced around way too much for me. And his practice speeds were awful. I mean, maybe he's got the same problem as whatever Brad's got. I mean, he's got room to run, but 26.6 average finish over 8 starts at Pocono. I mean, I'll give him like a 20. I'll give him the 26th place finish. This is 17th. I don't think that's the case. I'll give him a 23rd, 22nd. One fast lap. I don't think he's going to come up and lead a bunch of laps, so we'll leave him at 22nd to 34.5. I'll have some ownership reluctantly because I'm a little nervous after seeing those practice speeds. I think they've got an issue with that car when it unloaded. Can it be improved? Yeah. But Ryan Preece will get some ownerships because of that. So, buyer beware with Ryan Preece. Once again, I always forget to tell everybody, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Zane Smith, $6,800, starting 18th. Everybody's favorite, Zane Smith. Woohoo! Yeah, it seems to be the chat's favorite driver. Starting in 18th, and this is kind of the optimal spot for Zane Smith. Everybody loves it when he kind of starts in the teens. He gets overlooked, and he ends up with a 9th place finish and whatever. But 2 starts, no top 20s, 29th place average finish. Finished 25th in this race last year. Out of the 5 tracks we're comparing to, it's 28th average running position, no top 20s. That's a little concerning and a little nervous. Practice speeds were at or slightly better than average when he's qualified at pretty much the average spot, 18th to 19th. I'll give him 18th, and we'll give him the 1 fast lap. 26.5, he's locked in, and we'll move on. Josh Berry, looking for a ride for next year. I hope he finds one. He's a nice guy. It might end up probably being an Xfinity series, to be perfectly honest. That's my thought or guess. $6,600 starting in 20th. He was 19th and 24th in 5-lap consecutive average for practice. Out of the 5 races we're comparing to, it's a 14th place average running position, 1 top 5, 1 top 10, 3 top 20s. I mean, it's not bad. 20th place average finish, starting 20th. Kind of was right there in the 20 spot for practice. Maybe he practice speeds were a little bit worse. I mean, they're 20th to 25th practice speeds. So don't really expect a whole lot. I think 14th's a little bit on the high side. I'm going to just say 20th. We'll give him the 1 token fast lap. I don't think he leads any laps. We'll take it down to 0. 23.5 for old Josh Berry there. Oh, the luckiest man on the Cup Series right now. Man, Connor Zilic is so lucky. He's just full of bad luck. $6,500 for Connor Zilic. I don't even. He was 12th in single lap, 10th in 5-lap consecutive average. Starting 28th. Flip a coin. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you to do with Connor Zilic. In the Xfinity Series, he ran top 10 all day today. He won the Xfinity Series race here last year. But God, this kid cannot buy a break. Honestly, I think he's just shooting to finish this race. And I think that's probably a 28th place finish. If there's more carnage, he's going to end up finishing better. His practice speeds were about 20 to 23rd on finishing. Trackhouse has been awful. I mean, honestly, I'm going to leave him at 28 and 28. I'm not even sure I give him a fast lap at this point. Yeah, I'm going to lock him in at 14. I'll run him in 1 or 2 or 3 lineups, but I'm not going to run him a whole lot. He's kind of on my... He's kind of like that right there with Raleigh Herbst. Until you really start to show me consistency, I'm probably going to stay away. Mike McDowell in his interview said that Pocono was one of his favorite tracks. mean, he's got an 18.3 for a normal oval, non-super speedway, non-road course. This is actually one of Michael McDowell's better tracks, 18.3. I know an 18.3 doesn't sound great, but it is. Is it the Red Bull curse? Remember back in the day when it was a Dodge? Oh yeah. Um, I mean maybe, but he and SVG had no problems winning with Red Bull in their car and road courses. I know it's a different beast, but I think he ran a bunch of Red Bull paint schemes at Junior Motorsports last year, if I'm not mistaken, and he had no problem with that. So maybe it's a Cup Series curse with Red Bull on it. I don't know. Maybe there is something. Not, I don't believe in a whole lot of superstitions or conspiracies, but I mean, at this point, maybe. What's he running next week or running this week? Who is this sponsor? J-Ski will tell us. Entry list for Connor Zillage, Roto-Rooter. He's got the Roto-Rooter sponsorship this week. Oh, see? Maybe things will improve because he's got the Roto-Rooter sponsorship. All right, 10-point game, 8 minutes left. All right, maybe we finish up by the end of this thing. I still think San Antonio wins this one. And then go head back to New York for New York to win it up there. But Michael McDowell, I was just saying, this is one of his better tracks. The problem is, I think this is about where he finishes. Maybe he improves to like a 9th. Maybe. His practice speeds started off okay, went bad, got better, and then back to average. And he's starting 13th. I honestly, that's probably more realistically, I think the calculator's probably right. Probably 23rd. Give him a bump to 19th. We'll let him have the one fast lap because that can just happen. Yeah, I'm going to lock it in at 25th or 25.5 and move on. AJ Allmendinger. 6,100 starting 19th, 17th in single lap, 18th in 5-lap consecutive average. I see a trend here, 17th, 18th, 19th. He finished 21st last year, and he's got a 20.4. Oh, look at there. We've got 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So does he finish 16th or does he finish 22nd? I don't know. Or split the difference, and you finish. I don't see. Yeah, I think he finished where he started. Practice speeds actually were not bad. He's been really consistent this year. Yeah, I'll give him the 19th, give him the 1-lap lead or 1 fast lap, and we'll move on. Riley Herbst. Let's see who's still top of the board. Denny, Brad, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Carson Hocevar. Bottom of the barrel, Connor Zillage at 14th. 14.0 points. All right, Riley Herbst. Another one that's looking for a ride. Maybe Riley Herbst ends up over at, he doesn't end up at Legacy. Maybe he ends up in the 21 car. Maybe. Because he's not fully a Toyota guy. Because when he was in the O'Reilly series, he was with Stuart Haas. So, and they were Ford. So, but starting 25th, he was 6th in single lap. Was he really that fast in the 5-lap average? No, he was not. Where is Riley? He was like 19th in the 5-lap average. Yeah. I don't know why it's got second. I did something funky. Single lap. I don't know, Riley Herbst was 6th single lap, but he falls off to like 19th. I'll have to have a discussion with my AI later. Screwing something up over there. And he's got one start where he finished 37th. Practice speeds were, ugh. God, he really fell off the board. Yeah, I think he's starting I'm going to put him in the same boat as Zillich. I just don't think it gets any better. Calculator, Herbst. Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I'll give him a start where you finish. 1 fast lap, 18.5. I'm fine with that. I'm probably not going to run him much at all, if any at all. I mean, if I've got to dig down that deep, I doubt I'm going to start John Hunter Nemechek starting in the 8th position. But like I said, Legacy's vastly improved. And he did finish 6th in this race last year. And the 6th there last year, 8th, 13th in single lap, 9th and 5 lap. I actually want to know if that's even true, or if it screwed something up. 26th place average finish. I want to actually at this point I want to check. 5 lap average. John Hunter was more like 12th. So I don't get it. Why did it do that to me? Sorry about that. I'll have to. He's a good turd. Are we talking about Herbst? Yeah, John Hunter Nemechek. It's just starting too far up to be perfectly honest. I don't trust it. Why isn't he getting negative place differential? What is it doing? Why is it? Did it do that up here also? Why isn't it giving negative place differential? When did that change? That one works. That one works. That one works. Okay. Where is it? That's fine. Connor is fine. Why is John Hunter not doing place differential? Did I lock it and try it again? Not giving place differential. Doing the points. Oh, there it goes. I wonder why I was doing that. I had not ever seen it do that before. Sorry about that. I just always want to double check these things. Yeah, I'm going to give John Hunter 23rd. I mean, maybe because he's going to start up front. Maybe he finishes closer to the front. Why is it? I don't get it. What is going on with my calculator here? Score lot, click to update. I don't know why John Hunter's score won't change. You're looking over here. So I'm looking over here at this and why it won't change. Riley Herbst. His point total didn't change either. I don't know what is going on here. All right, rankings go to here. Riley Herbst. 25th, 29th. It's not changing. It's only changing when it gets down below 24th. Okay, well, that makes sense. It's not putting a negative number anytime he finishes worse. Okay. That makes sense. But anytime it's better, it's giving me positive place differential, but it's just getting locked at 0. All right, I've got to talk to the AI and get that fixed. That'll get fixed tonight. So if you happen to be running this calculator tonight, be aware it's not giving negative place differential. It's only giving positive. I missed your breakdown on Busher. He looked fast. Yeah, Busher did look fast. So yeah, be careful with the calculator. I'm gonna have that fixed tonight at some point. But if you have done and used the calculator tonight, just beware it's not giving negative place differential. It's only giving positive place differential points. Chris Busher, 6th, 5th, and then he fell off. He finished 4th here last year. Yeah, I mean, he was fast in 5 lap. He was fine over the course of the run. Out of all the RFK guys, he was the better of the three. Still a little bit of a struggle. And starting in 6th has me slightly concerned, especially because Brian Priest seems to be really out to lunch with speed. And of course, we saw Brad not be able to finish his laps. Okay, back to here, back to John Hunter. So it's not giving me negative place differential. So just beware of that. It's not going to really affect the guys down here because most of the time we're only looking for positive place differential anyways. But if we're thinking John Hunter's going to finish 20th and it's 12 points of negative, that should only give him 11 points. So that's a little concerning. So, 23.5 is not going to put him. And we'll just move it to 22nd, 21.5. I'll lock it in there. Yeah, I'm not going to need to get that fixed. So just beware when you're running the calculator. Just make sure that if it's a negative place differential, that this ends up going negative. It's little things that you just find as you do these things. And this is one of the reasons I do this video. So the tools that I use, I can critique myself on. So found a glitch. Austin Dillon. Let's go to Austin Dillon's page. He is starting 32nd. We got some room to run here. Practice was 24th and 33rd. Okay. 19th place average finish over 19 total races here at Pocono. Never finished in the top 10, but 12 times he's finished in the top 20. He finished 24th in this race here last year. Yeah, we're probably looking at like a 21st, 22nd place finish if we look at his speeds. Started off really slow, came back and got better than average. So we'll kind of go with about a 20th as long as he doesn't end up spinning, wrecking, or getting wrecked by somebody else. So I'll move him to 21st. We'll give him the token 1 fast lap. All right, positive place differential. That's all good, 33.5. We'll lock in that one and go on to Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who just like, oh crap, New York's making another comeback. Only down by 4. Oh, well, they're going to burn New York down on a Saturday night if they happen to win the championship. I live in Richmond, and I might not be far enough away from New York City. All right, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. quietly, along with Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez, are way punching above their weight class. And I'm happy to see it, and I'm glad for Ricky for him to be doing well. He did have a single car spin coming off of turn 3/4 during practice today, so that was probably just a miss. I'm not that worried, even though he is Ricky Stenhouse. Average finish of 21.1. He's starting 21st. Practice speeds are pretty much in the 20s. Let's look at the chart. He's not on the chart. Oh, I know what happened. It's because it has a period in his name. I had this issue earlier with Ricky. I just didn't check the practice speed. Either way, I'm going to put it probably start where you finish where you start type of game. So Ricky, 21st to 21st, we'll give him the 22.5. He could get into the mid-teens, which would give him a little bit more room. And it's kind of where like I said, he's been punching above his weight class. I'll give Ricky the 16th. Yeah, 33.5. The same as Austin Dillon. So, all right. Next in line here, that's Ricky. Yeah. Austin Hill, starting 14th. Whoa, I think he's way up. Kick this coverage here. Yeah. Practice speeds are 28th and 19th. Practice speeds were not much better than average the entire way. Starting 14th, I think maybe he finished 22nd, 23rd. So we'll just leave him start where you finish. The one fast lap, 22.5. Noah Gregson. All right, we are 2 hours and 5 minutes in. Gosh, darn it, going slow again. $5,400 starting 30th. He was 26th, 31st, 31.5 average finish. Probably the start where you finish where you start. Austin Hill, like I said, he's going to go negative. Yeah, we'll lock him in at 16. Actually, he gets the one token, 16 and a half. Noah Gregson, 30, 26. And that's being generous. I think it's probably closer to 27th. One fast lap, 18.5. We'll lock it in. Todd Gillen, I mean, all the front row guys other than Zane are struggling. Starting 29th, 32nd, and 1 lap speed, 11th and 5 lap speed. Average finish 30.5, 28th here last year. Never better than average. Starting 29th. I mean, give him a 28th place finish. I mean, you can one off these guys. That's probably what I'll end up doing. So far, I haven't seen anybody down here. I mean, Cole Custer, you want to talk about somebody punching over his weight. So Cole Custer, Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones, and Daniel Suarez all punching above their weight. Cole has consistently been starting in the teens and finishing in the teens for about the last 5 weeks. Like I said, they are with Chevy now. They are partnered up with Hendrick. All things are pointing in the right direction, but it's a single car team. It just makes it tough. But his practice speeds were at or better than average for the entire run. Holy smokes, New York's within 2. 15th. One fast lap. We'll go to 16. Remember, there's no negative points right now. That'll get fixed. But still, it still gives him a 28.5 to finish in 16th with the 1. I like the Cole Custer call. It's a sleeper pick. It's going to be people are going to avoid him again because they still just don't believe it. And he might fail and might have a bad day, but he actually ran the Xfinity race really well. I think I'm going to bet Jones, Suarez, top 10, and fade DFS. I don't blame you there. I mean, I'm probably not going to fade DFS because I like my DFS, but I don't mind that bet at all. I mean, you could also, I bet you can't do top 20. But yeah, the Suarez Jones top 10, I think is a good call. All right, I'm going to have to finish this up. I've got to use a little boy's room. Ty Dillon, $5,000 starting 27th, 34th in single lap, 13th in 5 lap. Never better than average, 27th. I mean, if you think there's some attrition here, Ty Dillon, 27th. Maybe he gets to 25th. I mean, he had a good run last week. I'll give him a 25th. I'll put him at a 20.5. Daniel Dye. Nope, not even interested. He's running the 78 car. He's starting 34th. His practice speeds were, I mean, in the 55s. He's almost a full second off the field. It's not going to be pretty. So Daniel Dye, 34th. We'll leave it there. You're not going to even get a fast lap. And Cody Ware, 4,700 starting 33rd. His practice speeds were 35th, 36. He has an average of 29.5. So yeah. And his practice speeds were right there with Daniel Dye. Surprise, surprise. And so was Casey Mears. Surprise, surprise. We'll finish and wrap these to guys up. Daniel Dye, 34th to 34th. That scores a lot. Cody Ware, 33rd. We'll give him 30th. He has an average finish at 29th. 15.3. I don't even see a spot for the other one. The rankings. All right. So now that you've got all this done, and once again, if you've done it tonight, I apologize. The negative place differential is not there. The positive place differential is. So once you finish all this and you have everybody locked in, and you can kind of scroll down, look at everybody. Okay, everybody's in. I've got all my points. You just come over to download CSV file. It'll then print you your CSV file, which then has everybody listed for you. From top to bottom, what their starting spot is and their projected scores. So then after that, you can just save it and you can close that out. All right. Freebird says, great job, man. Got 150 hand building lineup to do because see you next week. Yep. UBTM. Yeah. 9 o'clock next week, we go to San Diego. That's going to be a fun race to watch. The scenery is going to be wild. Aircraft carriers and F-15, 16s, 22s, Apache helicopters, all sorts of cool naval stuff. It's going to be Navy and Air Force stuff going on out there. Top Gun at its finest. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Next week, we'll break it down. Good luck. Make sure you hit me up in the chat in Discord. Make sure you join there. Hit the like and subscribe button here on YouTube. We do this try to do this every Saturday night at 9 o'clock. Lasts about 2 hours. We are the longest, most in-depth DFS NASCAR show on YouTube. Have a great weekend, everybody. Good luck. And New York Knicks are now up by 1. Holy crud. All right, guys, go watch the game. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Gentlemen, start your engines. 40 cars coming to life.
Can you still taste the field? Yes. Love it. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight. Getting the W, so gotta be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checkered time, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud. Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job.